What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be continuing my journey through Photon Hypernova with the new Despia cards, but before I begin, if you happen to enjoy content like this, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons would be greatly appreciated, as it goes a long way in supporting the channel and shows me that you like content like this. The way I'll be structuring this video is by starting with multiple 2 to 3 card combos that center around the new cards we got. But I also do want to point out that depending on how you build your deck, these combos can change, and the combos that I show are catered more towards to what I play. So the very first combo that I want to show is Aluber plus Magna Hut, and this combo will be used to essentially show the new boards that you can make with the deck, as we're going to search the branded fusion off the Aluber, then activate that branded fusion, and from there we can send our Mercarier and the Albaz for the Lindworm. And Lindworm takes 1 Fallen of Albaz plus 1 Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster, and it reads, when a fusion, synchro, exceed, or link monster effect is activated, quick effect, you can negate that effect. Then you can return 1 monster on the field to the hand. During your opponent's turn, if this card is in the graveyard, quick effect, you can target 1 Fallen of Albaz in your graveyard. If both are in your graveyard, special summon either that monster or this card, and if you do, banish the other. You can only use each effect of Lindworm once per turn. And in this video, we'll be making good use of both of those effects, but in this first replay, we'll be catering around the first one, as we're going to use the effect of the Magna Hut, banishing the Mercarier so that we can special summon it and get the effects of Mercarier and the Magna Hut to get our searches, as we're going to search a Cartesia here, and from here we can activate the Cartesia, fuse it away with the Aluber, and then we're going to make our new fusion here, which is the Finale Dragon, and it takes 1 Blazing Cartesia plus a light or dark monster, and it reads, if this card is fusion summoned, you can send 1 level 6 or higher light or dark monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. If a monster is special summoned by an opponent's activated monster effect, except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard, special summon 1 Dogmatica monster from your deck or 1 Despia monster from your extra deck. You can only use each effect of Finale Dragon once per turn. And for this combo, we're going to use its effect to send our Albion to the graveyard, as we're going to use the Albion in the end phase to get us our branded in red, and this will allow us to also get our Cartesia back to hand during the end phase. Use the Magnuma to search the third new card here that we'll be getting, Bestial Baldrake, and this one reads that you can target 1 light or dark monster in either graveyard, banish it, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand. This is a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster. If your opponent special summons a Ritual Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, and or Link monsters, except during the damage step, you can tribute 1 other light or dark monster, then target 1 of those summoned monsters, banish it. You can only use each effect of Baldrake once per turn, and this is a great effect because this just gives you another going first card to pair with stuff like Mirror Jade. But speaking about Mirror Jade, during the end phase, we're going to use our Branded in Red, which will allow us to get back our Albaz, and then we can fuse it away with the Magna Hut, as we'll go into our Lubellion, use its effect, and this will allow us to get into our Mirror Jade, which now we can use its effect if we would like. And if you happen to be on a second copy of Mercarier, I'm actually not using a second copy in my build, but I sent this specifically for that because you could search yourself another hand trap this way. But you can also opt not to choose the effect. You can send your Alba to grab you something like Branded Fusion, as we've already sent our Albion through the Finale Dragon. And to size up the end board, we have the negation with the Lindworm. We have the Mirror Jade for our opponent's turn. The Lindworm can actually negate the Mirror Jade that you activate so that you can use the Mirror Jade on your opponent's turn after you use it on your turn. If you have the second Mercarier, then you would have 2 Mercariers. Then you have the Baldrake searched off of Magna Hut, and Finale Dragon can go into your attack reducer fusion on your opponent's turn if you want to protect your board from something that may counter. Now, for this second combo, I want to show bare minimum because Aluber gives you a body on board, which kind of allows you to do extra stuff, while Magnahut gets you a search during the end phase, giving you a Baldrake or whatever other bestial you want. So I'm going to use Druisworm, which also acts as a going second combo for this, as you'll see momentarily. So I'm going to start this combo by activating the Branded Fusion, sending away the Albaz and the Mercarier for the Lindworm, as we're now going to use the Druisworm effect, banishing our Mercarier, and from here we're going to use the Mercarier's effect, which will allow us to get our Cartesia. We can then use the Cartesia's effect to special summon it, use its effect to fuse away, as we're going to fuse into the Finale Dragon with the Lindworm and the Cartesia. We're then going to use the Finale Dragon, which will allow us to send our Lubellion, which if you're going second now, we have Lubellion in the graveyard, and when you send this to the graveyard off the Lubellion, as we're going to now, you will Druisworm. We'll then use the effect of Lubellion here, which will give us our Branded Beast. We'll go to the end phase, get our Cartesia's effect. We'll then skip to our opponent's turn, as we're going to use the Lindworm now because we do have Albaz in graveyard, in order to give us an extra body on board or disruption with the Lindworm, as we also get the Albaz, which we can use because this is a quick effect, and bringing out our Albaz could fuse with an opponent's extra deck monster or something like that for Mirror Jade. Now, for this next one, I actually want to show something cute that you can do here with Lindworm, and I'm going to start by using the Albion here to send our Albaz. We'll then be able to draw one as we get the Magnahut. We'll then use our Branded Fusion to go into our Lubellion with the Tragedy and the Albaz, as we're going to use the Lubellion and the Tragedy now, pitching off a card, and we'll go into our Mirror Jade, and we'll get ourselves the Aluber with the Tragedy, as we'll now use the effect of the Mirror Jade, which will be banishing itself. And then on our opponent's turn, if you would like, you can use your Lindworm's effect, bringing out the Albaz, banishing itself, in order to get you into another Mirror Jade, while also giving you a board that plays around evenly without any ways to negate it. And while this may not look like much, the main reason that I'm showing this combo is because of tasking and the fact that people can search evenly now. So this is just kind of a solution I was thinking of. Let me know down below what you think about it. Now, for this third combo, we'll be taking things up a notch a little bit, as we're going to start pumping out some of the bigger boards that this deck can make now. And as you'll see, I'm going to start this hand with Kit, which I'm actually not playing in my current build, Branded Fusion and Saronir. And of course this could be Lubellion as well, in order to search your Saronir, while this can be Aluber, but I just wanted to use the minimal cards here without the extenders or extra bodies. So I'm going to start this combo here by activating the Branded Fusion, like most Despia combos. We're going to Fusion Summon the Lindworm by sending the Albaz and the Mercarier, as now we're going to use the Saronir, banishing our Mercarier, bringing out the Saronir, and using the Mercarier's effect, which will allow us to get our Cartesia. And now we can special summon the Cartesia by using its effect, and then we can use its effect to fuse, which will allow us to go into Finale Dragon with the Saronir and itself, as we're going to get two dumps here with the Saronir sending the Retribution and the Finale Dragon sending the Ad Libitum. And now we're going to use the effect of Kit, which will allow us to get a search here, as we're going to get the Branded in White, put a card back, as we're going to activate the Branded in White now, and we're going to fuse away into Lubellion with the Albaz and the Saronir, which we can then use the Lubellion here, fusing away the Albaz that is banished and our Lubellion to go into Mirror Jade. Then we can use the Mirror Jade effect, sending the Albion, negating that with the Lindworm, and then the Lindworm can return our Kit to our hand, as we're now going to use the effect of our Retribution, getting back our Branded Fusion, setting up our Kit for the next turn as well, which is kind of nice if you don't happen to draw anything you don't want to put back, and may even be better than Branded Fusion in that situation, or if you just get another copy of Branded Fusion. But here in our end phase, we'll use the Albion, which will set us our Branded in Red here, as we also did send the Ad Libitum off of the Finale Dragon. So just in these few short combos, I would also like to point out the versatility that Finale Dragon brings, as we've been able to send Lubellion, Albion, and Ad Libitum. You can also send Dramaturge if you have a Branded in Red play. And as you've seen, there's also stuff like Brigrin that you can send to search a Mercarier, or an Alba Lenatus to get you into another another fusion. So just something I wanted to highlight here, as I thought that was pretty awesome about it. Now, for this last hand, I'll be showing off what if you draw literally everything. And keep in mind that this is a hand with 3 one-ofs, so I don't want to fool you into thinking that this is a hand that you should always expect, but I just want to show the ceiling of the deck. So I'm going to start this hand by using the Aluber first so that we can play around Droll, and we're going to add ourselves the Branded in red because we already have Branded Fusion. We'll then use the Lubellion to get ourselves a copy of Saronir, as we're now going to use the Branded Fusion going into our Lindworm. And from here we can now use the Saronir banishing our Mercarier, and we'll special summon out the Saronir using the Mercarier's effect in order to net us the search for the Albion here, as we're now going to use the Lubellion special summoning itself out by sending the Saronir, and then we can get the Saronir send here for the Retribution, as we'll also use the Lubellion here to get us our Branded Beast. I'm then going to use the effect of Albion here, and there is different ways that you can approach what I'm doing here. As stated, I wanted to make this build more card economic friendly while also bringing out stuff that you kind of always want. So I'm now going to use the Retributions effect, and this will allow us to get us back our Branded in white. And now we can use the Cartesia's effect, which will allow us to special summon it, use its effect, which will allow us to fuse, go into our Finale Dragon. The Finale Dragon will then get the search or the dump for the ad libitum, and then we can use the Branded in white, banishing our Albaz and our Saronir for the Lubellion, as the Lubellion will use its effect, pitching the Aluber, as we'll then go into our Mirror Jade. I believe the Aluber may have also been drawn off the Albion. That's also kind of nice that you can do that. And we're going to use the Mirror Jade here, sending the Albion to the graveyard and then negating it with the Lindworm so that we can use the Mirror Jade and keep our monsters. We'll then set the Branded in red, move over to the end phase, as we'll use our Albion's effect, which will then get ourselves the Branded Banishment to give us yet another disruption. Then we can get our Cartesia back to our hand, add even more card advantage, and to round up our end board, we'll have the Lubellion with the Branded Beast, the Branded in red, which also has ad libitum in the graveyard, making Chimera plays super free. We then have the Lindworm, which is a negation here, the Mirror Jade, which is still live, the Finale Dragon, which can go into queue for some added protection. It also allows you to play around double Super Poly. Unless they activate it back to back, they activate the first one, dissolve it, and with their turn priority, they just activate another one. But if they don't do that and still have 2 Super Polys, then after you get Super Polyed for the first time, and your opponent does whatever else, you can use the Finale Dragon if that happened to live and go into your queue. And then of course we have the Banishment plus the Baldrake. Felt a lot shorter than my previous combo videos. And in this deck profile you can see I'm only running 6 Bestials. We technically have 8 hand traps with these 6 Bestials, the 1 Mercarier, and I also am playing the Comedy. I do like playing this card over the Branded Lost. And to explain that further into detail, I feel like when you play Branded Lost, you're committing harder to certain lines of plays, while this also really does nothing going second unless you happen to draw some type of specific hand. Comedy, on the other hand, allows you to ensure that your Lubellion or Aluber go through, which is also another reason that I'm not playing the kit, because you could play the 1 kit over the Comedy, but I feel like if you happen to have Aluber plus kit, your Aluber gets stopped and you have no follow-up, then in that case it is better to have Comedy. This just also a free pitch and protection with the Lubellion. As far as the choice of one-ofs go, with the new support, I do feel like Branded Retribution and Branded in White do become a lot better. They also do add bricks to the deck, which is just another thing I would like to point out about Branded Lost. You don't want to get stuck with hands where you're going to draw Lost, Retribution, 1 or 2 Bestials, and a Tragedy, an Edge of Sabers, or a Poly. Things that don't do much to get your plays going. You want to be able to see cards that matter most, which is why I have this deck structured the way I do. And you can go about this with 60 cards if you want to improve upon seeing some cards a little bit less, as some people do kind of use 60 cards for the math. I don't necessarily think that's necessary with this build, so the appeal of adding all the generic stuff is kind of nice. Because Mercurier is a lot better too now, there also is potential room for Allure of Darkness. Because I wanted to keep this deck at 40, is why you see it as such. And the only things I would like to explain here in the extra deck are really the Dragos Despia, which I will continue to play in this deck. I just think that it's a very hard economic friendly play when you can't go into Chimera and you need something for branded in red. If you only have Mirror Jade and Ad Libitum, you go into Dragos Despia, and it's just the extra disruption that you have. Then I guess you can see the Brigand and the Proskinion here as flex spots, where you don't absolutely need to play them, but they definitely do come up. I would just like to throw that out there. I think that's all I have to say about the deck. I'll go on to the card by card. So we have 3 copies of Aluber, or 2 copies of Albaz, the 1 Cartesia, the 1 Ad Libitum, the 1 Dramaturge, the 2 Tragedy, the 1 Comedy, the 1 Mercurier, the 1 Albion, the 1 Lubellion, 1 Baldrake, the 1 Saronir, the 1 Druisworm, the 3 Agnahut, the 3 Branded Fusion, the 3 Branded Openings, the 2 Branded in Reds, the 1 Branded in White, the 1 Branded Regain, the 3 Patchworks, the 2 Polys, the 2 Edgem Sabers, which I guess I could talk about this. And I know a lot of people said that you may not need to play it after the new Photon Hypernova support. But with that being said, I do like the explosiveness that it still brings to the deck. It allows you to play through stuff still. There are a lot of bricks without it to potentially add to the deck as well. So I do like having this engine available, as it also just makes branded opening better with the Edgem. Then we have the Branded Banishment, the 1 Retribution, and the 1 Branded Beast to round out the deck profile. Onto the extra deck, we have the Proskinion, the Guardian, Dragos Despia, the Q, the Finale, the Lindworm, Brigand, Albalanatus, the 1 Lubellion, 2 Albions, 2 Masquerades, 2 Mirror Jades to round out the extra deck. Onto the options. Because Kashtira is coming, this could be good. I know that there's also Book of Eclipse and other stuff like that. Nibiru is just something people don't play around. It's a light monster, so that's also kind of nice, which also brings me to Titaniclad, which is just another big beater that you can use if you need something to out-attack stuff. Tasking is something that I think will get way better over time. This is just another way to combat hand traps, potentially give you something. Branded Fusion gets Ash that you can use later on. Again, this is just something else that will greatly improve over time. Talents and your other hand trap stoppers with Called by Crossout are definitely options for some formats. The Crossout does let you play through Bestials, so I would like to point that out. And you already know how I feel about Lost, I just don't like this card. And then there's the Super Poly, which is always an option in this deck. You also have to consider the extra deck slots like Garura and Mud Dragon that you may want to play over stuff like Rind and Proskinion. Anyways, that's all I have for today's video, and if you made it this far, I thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. It's Bones, signing out.